My mother-in-law announced, "I'm moving in, it's my son's house, not yours." I said, "Check the deed. My name's on it, yours isn't." My name is Lauren, I'm 34, and this is the story of how I went to war with my mother-in-law over a house that was legally mine. I need to start with some background about my husband's family because it explains everything that happened. I met Daniel when we were both 26. He was kind, funny, hardworking, everything I wanted in a partner. We dated for 3 years, got married, and bought a house together 2 years ago. A modest 3-bedroom ranch in a good school district. Nothing fancy, but it was ours. Daniel's mother, Patricia, was a force of nature. She'd been widowed when Daniel was 19, raised him and his younger sister Emily alone, and had very strong opinions about everything, especially about her son's life. From the moment we started dating, Patricia made it clear that no woman would ever be quite good enough for her Daniel. At our wedding, she wore white. At our housewarming, she rearranged my kitchen cabinets without asking because her way was more efficient. She called Daniel every single day, sometimes multiple times, and would get huffy if he didn't answer immediately. But Daniel was a good son, and I tried to be understanding. Patricia had sacrificed a lot as a single mother. She was lonely. She meant well, even if her execution was overbearing. The first major red flag came during the house hunting process. We'd been looking for months and finally found the perfect place. 3 bedrooms, updated kitchen, big backyard, good bones. It was listed at $320,000. We'd saved $60,000 for a down payment, $30,000 from me and $30,000 from Daniel. The day before we were supposed to make an offer, Patricia called Daniel in a panic. She'd had an emergency, her furnace died and she needed $15,000 for a replacement. Could Daniel help? Daniel immediately offered his entire down payment savings. I stopped him. "Daniel, we're about to buy a house. We need that money. My mom's furnace is broken. She could freeze. It's July. And furnaces don't cost $15,000. That's almost double what a high-end replacement costs." She got quotes. That's what they told her. I was skeptical but didn't push it. Instead, I suggested we loan Patricia $8,000, enough for a good furnace with professional installation, and she could pay us back over time. Patricia was insulted. "I'm not taking a loan from my own son like some kind of charity case." "Then get a home equity loan or a credit card," I said politely. "We have a house closing in 2 weeks. We can't give away our down payment." She called me heartless. Daniel ended up giving her $10,000 despite my objections. We bought the house with $50,000 down instead of $60,000, which meant a higher mortgage payment. Patricia never paid back a single dollar. When Daniel mentioned it 6 months later, she said she'd already sacrificed so much raising him and considered the money compensation for years of single parenthood. That should have been my second red flag. The first was the wedding dress. Anyway, we moved into our house. Daniel and I had agreed to split everything 50-50, mortgage, utilities, repairs, everything. We both worked full-time and made similar salaries. Fair was fair. Except Daniel was still giving his mother money regularly. A few hundred here for car repairs. A few hundred there for medical bills. It always seemed reasonable in isolation, but it added up to thousands over the first year. I started keeping track. In our first year of marriage, Daniel gave Patricia $14,000. Meanwhile, I was covering more than my share of house expenses because Daniel was always short this month. When I brought it up, he got defensive. "She's my mother. She needs help." "Your mother is 63 years old with a paid-off house and a pension from 30 years of teaching. She doesn't need $14,000 a year from us. You're being selfish." "I'm being realistic. We're trying to build our life together, and your mother is draining our resources." We fought about it constantly. Finally, I put my foot down. I told Daniel that any money he wanted to give his mother had to come from his personal spending money, not our joint account. If he wanted to give her $500, he could skip his golf league or his craft beer habit. Suddenly, Patricia's emergencies became less frequent. Everything changed 8 months ago. Patricia's sister, Daniel's aunt, passed away unexpectedly. Patricia had been living alone for over a decade, and the loss hit her hard. She started calling Daniel even more frequently, crying about being lonely, about getting older, about not wanting to die alone like her sister. I felt bad for her. I really did. So when Daniel suggested we invite her for dinner once a week, I agreed. It seemed like a kind gesture. Those weekly dinners became twice a week. Then 3 times a week. Then Patricia started showing up unannounced on weekends. She'd let herself in, Daniel had given her a key for emergencies, and I'd come out of the bedroom on Saturday morning to find her making breakfast in my kitchen. "You don't mind, do you?" she'd say sweetly. "I was up early and thought I'd surprise you both." I minded. I minded very much. But I tried to be gracious. Then Patricia started leaving things at our house. A toothbrush. A change of clothes. Her favorite coffee mug. Gradually, an entire drawer in our guest room filled with her belongings. "Mom likes to be comfortable when she visits," Daniel explained when I pointed it out. "Daniel, she's here 4 days a week. This is becoming a problem. She's lonely. What do you want me to do? Tell my grieving mother she can't visit?" "I want you to set some boundaries." "You're being cruel." That was his favorite accusation lately. Any time I expressed discomfort with Patricia's increasing presence in our lives, I was being cruel. The breaking point came 3 months ago. I came home from work on a Tuesday, a day Patricia usually wasn't there, to find her in the kitchen with a contractor. "Lauren." "Perfect timing," she said brightly. "We're discussing knocking down this wall between the kitchen and dining room. It'll open up the space so much." I stared at her. "I'm sorry, what?" "This wall. It's not load-bearing, Greg here confirmed it. We can take it down and create a much better flow." "Patricia, this is our house. You can't just hire a contractor to demolish walls." "Oh, don't be dramatic. It's Daniel's house too, and he thinks it's a wonderful idea." "Daniel agreed to this?" She waved dismissively. "I mentioned it last week and he said it sounded nice. We're improving your home, Lauren. You should be grateful." I sent the contractor away, he looked relieved to escape the awkwardness, and called Daniel at work. "Did your mother tell you she hired a contractor to knock down a wall in our house?" "What? No. She mentioned something about opening up the kitchen, but I thought she was just talking hypothetically. She had a contractor here today, ready to start demolition. I'll talk to her." "Daniel, this is getting out of control. Your mother is treating our house like it's hers. She's just trying to help." That night, Daniel talked to Patricia. She cried. She said she was just trying to be useful and spend time with her son. She'd lost her sister and now felt like she was losing her son too. Daniel caved immediately. He apologized to her. He didn't apologize to me. 2 weeks later, I came home to find Patricia in my bedroom, going through my closet. "What are you doing?" She jumped, startled. "Oh. I was just looking at your organization system. You have such lovely things, Lauren. Although I did notice you could use more professional pieces. If you dressed a bit more polished, it might help your career." "Get out of my bedroom." "There's no need to be hostile. I was complimenting you. You were going through my personal belongings without permission. Get out." She left in a huff. When Daniel got home, she'd already called him crying about how I'd screamed at her for trying to help organize. "Why do you have to be so harsh with her?" Daniel demanded. "She was going through my closet, Daniel. In our bedroom. Without asking. She probably didn't think it was a big deal. How is going through someone's personal bedroom not a big deal?" We fought for hours. It ended with Daniel sleeping on the couch and Patricia sending me a long text about how she'd tried so hard to have a relationship with me, but I was determined to keep her from her son. I didn't respond. The next morning, Daniel was cold and distant. He left for work without saying goodbye. I was sitting in the kitchen drinking coffee when Patricia let herself in. Again. "We need to talk," she announced. "Patricia, I'm not in the mood." "That's too bad, because this is important." She sat down across from me like she was about to chair a board meeting. "Lauren, I've made a decision. I'm selling my house." "Okay. And I'm moving in here." I set down my coffee cup very carefully. "Excuse me?" "I'm moving in. This house has 3 bedrooms, plenty of space. Daniel and I discussed it last night after you went to bed, and he agrees it makes sense. I'll sell my house, put the money in savings, and live here. It'll be nice, I can help around the house, cook meals, be here for grandchildren when they come." Daniel agreed to this? Of course he did. It's his house. He can invite his mother to live here if he wants. This is my house too. Legally, perhaps. But emotionally? This is Daniel's home. He bought it, he maintains it, he makes it run. That was categorically false. We split everything 50-50. I'd contributed just as much to the down payment, the mortgage, the repairs, all of it. Patricia, you're not moving in. That's not your decision to make, dear. Actually, it is. I own this house jointly with Daniel. You don't get to move in without my agreement. She smiled in a way that made my skin crawl. I think you'll find Daniel will support his mother over his wife on this one. He already has, actually. The guest room will be mine starting next month. She left before I could respond. I called Daniel immediately. He was in a meeting but called back an hour later. Did you tell your mother she could move in? Silence. Daniel, answer me. Did you tell Patricia she could move into our house? We talked about it. She's struggling, Lauren. She's lonely and getting older. It makes sense. You told her she could move in without discussing it with me first? I knew you'd say no. Yes, I would say no. Because it's insane. Your mother can't just move into our house. Why not? We have the space. Because I don't want to live with your mother. Because she has boundary issues and treats this place like a hotel and goes through my closet and hires contractors without permission. Because the idea of her living here permanently makes me want to run screaming into the street. You're being selfish. I'm being sane. Daniel, if your mother moves in, I'm moving out. Don't be dramatic. I'm not being dramatic. I'm telling you the truth. Her or me. Choose. He chose her. Not explicitly, but functionally. He said we'd work something out and I was overreacting and we just needed time to adjust to the idea. I called a lawyer that afternoon. My lawyer was a sharp woman named Jennifer who listened to my story without interrupting. Do you have documentation of your financial contributions to the house? She asked. All of it. Bank statements, the down payment transfer, mortgage payments, everything. Good. And the house is titled jointly? Yes. Both our names on the deed. She smiled. Then you have options. Good options. 2 days later, Patricia showed up with a moving truck. I was at work. Daniel had taken the day off to help her transition. I came home to find Patricia's furniture in my guest room, her clothes in my guest closet, her toiletries in my guest bathroom. She'd fully moved in. Daniel was in the kitchen making dinner like this was completely normal. What the hell is this? I demanded. Lauren, please don't start. Your mother moved in without my permission. We talked about it. You talked about it. I said no. Explicitly. And you did it anyway. Patricia emerged from the guest room. This is exactly the kind of hostile environment I was worried about, Daniel. I don't know if I can live somewhere I'm not wanted. You're not wanted, I said flatly. So please, leave. This is my son's house. This is my house. Mine and Daniel's. Jointly. Equally. And I don't want you here. She smiled that terrible smile again. Check the deed, sweetheart. Daniel's name is on it. Mine might not be, but I'm his mother. And he wants me here. That's all that matters. Actually, I said, pulling out my phone, let's check that deed right now. I pulled up the digital copy I'd downloaded that morning on my lawyer's advice. I showed it to Patricia. See that? Lauren Mitchell and Daniel Chen. Joint tenants with right of survivorship. That means I have equal ownership and equal say. You know what I don't see? Your name. Because this isn't your house, Patricia. It's mine and Daniel's. And since I don't agree to you living here, you're trespassing. Her face went red. Daniel, are you going to let her talk to me this way? Lauren, come on. No. I've been coming on for 2 years while your mother slowly took over our lives. She's gone through my belongings, hired contractors without permission, and now moved into our house without my consent. This ends now. I turned to Patricia. You have 2 options. You can move your stuff back out today, or I can call the police and have you removed for trespassing. Your choice. Daniel. Patricia's voice was shrill now. Tell her she can't do this. Daniel looked between us, clearly panicking. Lauren, please. Can we just talk about this? We did talk. I said no. You ignored me. Now your mother is moving out. Where is she supposed to go? Back to her house, which she hasn't sold yet. Or a hotel. Or literally anywhere that isn't here. Patricia was crying now. I sold my house. The closing is next week. Then you should have confirmed you had somewhere to live before you sold it. That's called being an adult. You can't do this to me. I'm family. You're Daniel's family. And he can visit you anytime he wants. But you're not living here. I looked at Daniel. Call your mother a hotel. Or help her pack. But she's not staying. For the first time in our marriage, I saw Daniel actually stand up to me. No. She's my mother and she's staying. Then I'm leaving. I went to our bedroom, packed a bag, and went to stay with my sister. From my sister's couch, I texted Daniel, I've contacted my lawyer. If Patricia isn't out of the house in 48 hours, I'm filing for divorce and forcing a sale of the property. Your choice. His response came 3 hours later, you're being unreasonable. My lawyer sent him a formal letter the next morning outlining my rights as joint property owner and informing him that Patricia's presence without my consent constituted a breach of our marital property agreement. It was very official and very scary. Daniel called me that afternoon, panicking. Lauren, we can't afford for you to force a sale of the house. We'll both lose money. Then tell your mother to leave. She has nowhere to go. She has dozens of places to go. She doesn't have permission to stay in my house. Patricia moved out 2 days later. Back to her house, which she hadn't actually listed yet, that had been a lie to pressure me into accepting the situation. But the damage to my marriage was done. Daniel was furious with me for choosing the house over his mother. I was furious with him for disrespecting my boundaries and trying to force his mother into our home. We tried counseling. The therapist was diplomatic but clearly thought Daniel's behavior was problematic. When she suggested Daniel might be enmeshed with his mother, he got defensive and stopped going. I filed for divorce 4 months ago. The house is being sold, we couldn't afford for one of us to buy the other out, and honestly, I didn't want it anymore. Too many bad memories. Daniel tried to reconcile once, about 2 months ago. He said he understood now that he'd been wrong to prioritize his mother over our marriage. He'd cut back on her visits. He'd set boundaries. But when I asked if he'd be willing to maintain those boundaries long term, even if Patricia cried or guilted him, he couldn't answer. That told me everything I needed to know. The divorce finalizes next month. We'll each walk away with about $35,000 from the house sale after paying off the mortgage and covering legal fees. Not much to show for 2 years of marriage and a major life purchase, but at least I'll be free. Patricia, for what it's worth, told everyone in Daniel's family that I kicked her out on the street and destroyed her relationship with her son. Most of them believed her version until Daniel's sister Emily pulled me aside at a family event and said, I'm so sorry. I had no idea Mom was that bad. She did the same thing to my first apartment, just showed up and rearranged everything like it was hers. I should have warned you. Daniel's already back living with Patricia. They bought a condo together with his share of the house proceeds. She's thrilled. I'm in a small apartment by myself, and honestly, it's peaceful. Nobody goes through my closet. Nobody rearranges my kitchen. Nobody hires contractors without asking. Here's what I learned: when someone shows you who they are through their relationship with their family, believe them. Daniel showed me from day one that his mother came first. I just kept hoping he'd change. Also, legal ownership matters. If my name hadn't been on that deed, I would have had zero recourse when Patricia moved in. Know what you own and protect your assets. And finally, you can't save a marriage when one person is already married to their parent. Daniel was never really committed to building a life with me. He was committed to maintaining his relationship with his mother with me as a supporting character. I deserve to be someone's priority, not someone's roommate while they continue their codependent relationship with their parent. I'm dating again, casually, and I've already established that any future partner needs to have healthy boundaries with their family. It's a non-negotiable now. If you made it this far, thanks for reading. Drop a comment with your thoughts, and hit subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you in the next one.